The power of believing one thing today on the Daily Ish Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Daily Ish Show. Ooh, feedback. Good to see you. Sorry for the reverberation there at the end, but welcome to the show. Welcome to the Daily Ish Show, a show not just for rental housing providers, but anybody who is looking to get more time, wealth, and more control over their calendar, more white space on your calendar to define the things that you want to do, where your life is defined by life output and not just on income generation. So welcome to the Daily Ish Show. My name is Mark Dolfini, your host, your coach, and your guide. Your guide for today, if we're going to talk about that. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the one thing. We're talking about the one thing that is really, really important. And this is what we're going to be focusing on just a little bit. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about the book called The One Thing, although there's going to be some similarities to that. If you've not read that book, it's a good book. It's not a barn burner. I thought it was not a bad book, but certainly not one of the best that I've read. But I think it would have made a great article. Let's just put it that way, because I think it was definitely a book that was a lot longer than it needed to be. But that said, there was lots of good stories in there. Now, what the whole context of why I think it's important to embrace believing in one thing. Now, what I'm talking about in the context of business, now, of course, we have lots of different beliefs. But what I'm talking about in the context of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, what is the mission? And as I was reading through not just The One Thing, but also The Pumpkin Plan, and I was also reading through this book here, the 16-word sales letter, the 16-word sales letter by Evaldo Albuquerque. He is a brilliant guy when it comes to copywriting, and I write a lot of my own copy. I like the art of writing anyway, especially if whether it's persuasive writing or whether it's just ad copy or just articles in general. A lot of the things that I learned, and this is just a little 90-page book, which I paid like $40 for, worth every penny. And you can see all the little tabs that I put on here and everything. So this book means a lot to me. I even glued a little ribbon into it because I reference it quite a bit when I actually go back through and am rewriting things. But I'm always reminded in the 16-word sales letter, in the main part of this, the very beginning, it talks about one belief and then 10 questions. So it talks about one specific belief. And I can't say it really much better than how they put it in here. But when I look at the one belief, it's talking about getting the clients behind a specific mission for that business. So if that business has one specific mission, that's what the one belief is. What they're trying to get you to believe is this one thing. So this is the power of one thing. It's also about the power of focus. And it was interesting because I'm doing a video sales letter now. I'm putting this all together, and I'm having to remind myself. I reread what my one thing is that I'm trying to convince the viewer of as I'm going through this video. Because if I'm trying to convey more than one thing, if I'm trying to convey 2 or 3 different things, I'm going to lose them. And in the sales world, the confused mind always says no. That's what's safe. The confused mind will always say no. So if you're trying to convey more than one belief, you're going to lose them. Your sales are going to suffer. So even though your product might do, it might help with acne, it might help with making their computer program run better, and it also helps them with better gas mileage for their car, you're trying to get them to believe too many things. Even though all of those things might be true, you're trying to get them to believe too many things, you're going to lose them. So the thing that I was referencing in this particular book, that and even if you don't necessarily, and again, I'm not getting anything for plugging this guy. This guy doesn't even know I exist. But he made with one sales letter, I think he made like $300 million or something like that. And the really interesting thing is that English is not his native language. That's what's really compelling about this. But the book references something that I can relate to from my time in the Marine Corps, was this book by Jocko Willink, who is a Navy SEAL. He wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. And he references something referring to the commander's intent. And the commander's intent is really about what's the mission? What's the ultimate mission? What are we trying to do? What's the objective of the mission? After all the moving parts are in place and everything is done, and of course, Mike Tyson in that book, he was quoted as saying, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, which is understandably true, because everybody seems to understand that. Like Napoleon said something similar, where you can plan a battle down to the best plan falls apart after the first shot is fired. But it still doesn't mean that you shouldn't plan, because it defines the mission's intent. What is the commander's intent? What is it after the bullets start flying and after the everything's underway, and or you're taping a video sales letter or you're doing something? What's the operational intent? What's the intent of this thing? What's the mission? What does the completed mission look like? So for me, I want to have a full mastermind group, right? In fact, I want to have 4 full mastermind groups. I want to have 48 members in total, and that's it. That's my intent right now. That's what I'm doing for Landlord Coach. So all roads lead to that, and I'm not afraid to say that out loud. Like, well, Mark, why are you telling us your intent? Because I want people to know that I'm seeking other clients, right? That's all roads lead to that. You should be honest about that. There's nothing to be hiding behind that. If you want to be the largest property manager in all of Albuquerque, then that's great. Nothing wrong with it. That should be your intent, and all roads should lead to that. All efforts should lead to that. If you want to be the greatest, the biggest house flipper in your town, or if you want to have the biggest roofing business in your county, or whatever it is, whatever your goal is, right? Your goal on your way to your mission, or on your way to your vision, what is that? How are you defining that? So all roads should lead to that. So that's really the focus of it. And here's the interesting thing. I don't know who said it. I'm going to get all these quotes all screwed up, but it was really, really compelling, especially as I'm having a conversation with who is my client avatar that generally watches this. And it's generally small business owners, people who either are in real estate business of some sort or want to be in a real estate business of some sort. That's part of my avatar, loosely defined. So you, as my avatar, I'm going to have a conversation with you that I know is going to resonate with you. I can have a conversation with that one person. It's really hard to have a conversation with everyone. I can have a conversation with anyone. I can't have a conversation with everyone. And I recognize that really truly in a really desperate way when I realized, when I first wrote the first book of The Time Wealthy Investor, that book was for everybody. It was for anybody who was in the rental business. Whether you're a new investor, a seasoned investor, or a property manager, that book was for you, which may be true. I think all 3 could get something from that, but it was a really tough conversation to have with all 3 of them at the same time, because they all have different problems. A new investor doesn't even know, really, maybe they don't even have any rental properties yet, and they don't even know how to get financing. They've got very different problems than the mom and pop investor who has 20 units versus the property manager who has 250 units. All different problems. So it was really hard to have one conversation with all 3 of them. So when I boiled it down to one belief, and I really started rejecting, I didn't want to necessarily work with new investors unless they really understood what the problems were that I could help solve for them. I'm not the one that really is going to get them from 0 to 1 unless they've got the wherewithal to do that. They just don't know how. But if they're working a job that's $12 or $14 an hour, I might not be the best fit, right? So that's why when I got down to working with just one avatar, it became much, much simpler for me. So I hope you found that to be somewhat helpful, because believing in one thing is a heck of a lot easier than trying to chase more than one rabbit. If you'd like to reach out and connect, you can reach me at landlordcoach.com/connect, or you can always drop me an email at mark@landlordcoach.com. You're welcome to reach out to me on the Facebooks, comment on YouTube if you see this on YouTube, and wherever you happen to view this video, feel free to reach out to me. That's all I have, everybody. Please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. An awesome day. See you next time.